Good morning, students. How are you all? I hope everyone is happy. God bless you and your family. In the previous section, we saw about our environment, ecosystem, and types of ecosystem. What is ecosystem? Ecosystem means a community of the living and non living things that work together. Each part of the ecosystem has a role to play. Next one, types of ecosystem. Ecosystem divided in two types, natural ecosystem and artificial ecosystem. Now move on, natural ecosystem. Ecosystem originated without human intervention is called natural ecosystem. This can be an aquatic ecosystem or terrestrial ecosystem, water or land. Ecosystem in water is called aquatic ecosystem. Example, sea, river, lake, pond. Ecosystem outside the water body and land are called terrestrial ecosystem. Example, forest, mountain region, desert, etc. And second one, artificial ecosystem. Artificial ecosystem are created and maintained by humans. This can be the terrestrial ecosystem such as garden, aquatic ecosystem, for example, fish tank. Next one, food chain. Living organisms need food to perform their life process. Some organisms can produce their own food, such as plants, while other organisms cannot do this and need to feed on other organism to obtain their energy. We can therefore identify different feeding types and ecosystem based on how the organism obtain its food. There are producer and consumers. Producer or organism that are able to produce their own organic food. Producers also called autotrophs. Plant are producer because they make their own food by photosynthesis. Next one, consumers. Organisms which cannot produce their own food need to eat other organisms as food. These organisms are called consumers. All animals are consumers as they cannot produce their own food. Consumers are also called heterotrophs. Heterotrophs means dependent on others for food. There are three types of consumers. First one, herbivorous. Second one, carnivorous. And third one, omnivorous. Herbivorous. Animal which eat plant or plant product. Example, cow, deer, goat and rat. Second one, carnivorous. Animals that eat other animals. Example, lion, tiger, frog and owl. Third one, omnivorous. Animals that eat both plants and animals. Example, humans, dog and crow. I welcome everyone back to my class. Today we are going to discuss about food chain and energy flow. In a forest, deer eat grasses and in turn we know tiger eat deer. In any ecosystem there is a chain like relationship between the organism that live there. Food chain means the sequence of who eat whom in an ecosystem is called food chain. It describes how organisms get energy and nutrients by eating other organisms. Food chain show the relationship between producer, example grasses, and consumer, example deer and goat, cow and tiger. Now move on, energy flow. The food chain begins with the energy given by the sun. Sunlight triggers photosynthesis in plant. Photosynthesis means green plant prepare their own food with help of carbon dioxide, water and presence of sunlight, chlorophyll. The energy from the sun is stored in the plant parts like root and stem. When the grasshopper eat the grass, the energy flow from grass to grasshopper. Frog eat energy by eating grasshopper. This energy is transferred to crow when the frog is eaten by a crow. Thus, we conclude the primary energy production in the world of living things. It's made by plants, that is by photosynthesis. Now I'm going to talk about tropical level. What are tropical level in a food chain? Think about food you ate today. Did you eat any plant material? Did you eat anything that when it was alive might have eaten another organism? Organisms include humans are often classified by their feeding relationship. In other words, they are organized by who eats whom, and this classification system is called as food chain. A food chain is a sequence of organisms that feed on each other. Although the design of food chain can vary by ecosystem, all food chain are made up of the same basic trophical levels. Trophical levels are the level with the food chain where organism obtain its energy. In most of food chain there are 5 main trophical levels, but the numbers can vary depending on the composition of the ecosystem. Ecosystem with fewer species may have a food chain with a 3 trophical level, while an ecosystem with a large number of species it's more likely to have a food chain with more than 5 trophical level. Trophical levels. The first trophical level contains the greatest number of organisms. It's comprised mainly of the plants. The organism in this layer is called primary producers because they get their energy from an abiotic sources. Abiotic like air, water, soil. Most primary producers get energy directly from the sun. Primary producers are important to the whole food chain because they are the original source of energy that is then passed between other organisms. The next, the next trophical level contain organisms known as consumers. Consumers are organisms that get their energy from eating other organisms. The second level contain organisms that gain their energy by eating primary producer, and they are called primary consumers. Primary consumers are also called herbivores, which are organisms that have a diet comprised entirely of the vegetations and include such organisms as deer, rabbit and sheep. The third trophical level contain organisms are called secondary consumers. Instead of eating plants like primary consumers, the secondary consumers are often referred to as carnivores because they eat meat, and in this case they eat the meat of the primary consumers in the level below them. Secondary consumer include such organisms snake, insect eating birds and frog. The fourth level contain organisms all called tertiary consumers. Species that are tertiary consumers are often referred to as top predator because they consume organism in both of the consumer level below them and because they often do not have any natural predator that eat them. Tertiary consumer include species such as wolves, coyotes, mountain lion and orcas. Now move on. Importance of food chain. Learning food chain help us to understand the feeding relationship, eating and interaction between organism in an ecosystem. Understanding the food chain also help us to appreciate the energy flow and nutrient circulation in ecosystem. This is important because pollution impact the ecosystem. The food chain can be used to understand the movement of poison substance and their impact. Next one. Consumers have different source of food in ecosystem and do not rely on only one species for their food. If we put all the food chain with an ecosystem together, then we end up with many interconnected food chain. This is called food web. Now move on. Waste management and recycling. To protect our environment, it's very important to reduce waste, manage it properly and maximize recycling. Waste is any substance or material that has been used but it's not wanted anymore. This is either because it's worn out, broken or no longer has any purposes. Everyone produce waste on our waste as an impact on all the ecosystem. Now move on. Biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. Solid waste we generate can be classified in two major types: biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. Now we will going to discuss about biodegradable waste. The term biodegradable is used for those things that can be easily decomposed by natural agent like water, oxygen, ultraviolet rays of the sun, microorganism like bacteria, fungus, etc. One can notice that when a dead leaf or a banana peel is thrown outside, it is acted upon by several microorganisms like bacteria, fungi or small insect in a time period. Biodegradable waste include vegetables and fruits peels, leftover food and garden waste, example grasses, leaves, weed and twigs. Natural element like oxygen, water, moisture and heat facilitate the decompose, thereby breaking complex organic form into simpler unit. Decomposed matter evenly mixed to return back to the soil and thus the soil is once again nourished with various nutrients and minerals. Now move on. Non-biodegradable waste. Non-biodegradable waste means those material which cannot be broken down or decomposed into the soil by microorganism like bacteria and natural agent like water, air are labeled as non-biodegradable. These substances consist of the plastics, material, metal, scrap, aluminum cans and bottle, etc. These things are practically immune to the natural process and thus cannot be fed upon or broken down even after thousands of years. Today's science assignment: answer the following, learn question answers. Thank you.